weather. It is grey and rainy outside. I mean, look at this. I've got a jumper on. What's happening? So it's meant to be June. It's not right. I'm telling you, it's not right. I mean, the water's appreciated, don't get me wrong, but a bit of sunshine would be nice. And tomorrow we've got the Jubilee party for our street. So some of my neighbours at the end have like done a, they've like got the road closed and they're having a bit of a party. So I'm really looking forward to that. But if the weather's going to be pants, that's going to be rubbish, isn't it? So, I mean, fingers crossed for good weather tomorrow. But yeah, I've only actually nipped up here just to sort the girls out because I'm not going to be coming up here tomorrow because of the party. So yeah, I'm just up here to check that they're all right and clean their house out a bit and collect the eggs. Although I say collect the eggs, they are, 2 of them are now broody. So you know, Flo's been broody for ages. Well, now Rube's decided that that looked like a lot of fun, so she's broody too. So we're only getting like 1 egg or like 2 eggs every 3 days now from Mills, who is still on duty. So annoying. Yeah, bantams are just a bit like that though. I'm also thinking about picking some broad beans. My only hesitation, this sounds really ridiculous, but my only hesitation is I'm so looking forward to them, but what I want to eat them in is sunshine. I want the sunshine with the broad beans, not the rain and the broad beans. So I'm like holding off. That's stupid. I know it's really ridiculous. I should just pick them, but I'll go over and check them out, give them a bit of a squeeze, because so the pods like swell up much faster than the beans do. So the pods get really big and they look huge, but then it takes a while for them to actually fill out. So I'll go and have a bit of a squeeze and see what's going on in there, sort the girls out. But yeah, basically I'm just saying hello and having a whinge about the weather. To be fair, it's not actually raining at the moment. It's just grey, really, really grey. Yeah, bit of a shame. But so the other day I came up, so what day is it today? Today is Thursday. I was up here yesterday, Wednesday, and had a massive blitz. So things were just kind of looking messy. You know, it wasn't worth filming, so I didn't film any of it. Hang on, I haven't got you on a stand, sorry, so you're a bit like, ooh. Yeah, I didn't film any of it because it would have been incredibly boring. It was me just basically going around with a strimmer, tidying things up, weeding a couple of beds that had just kind of got overloaded. Now the only bed that really needs some help is the asparagus bed, but I'm going to get on that next week. But goodness me, does it feel better up here now I've done that. Let me just give you a bit of a sweeping vista, because it's actually a pleasure to be up here again now. Those grass paths, please ignore the asparagus bed, not looking so lovely, and the bolted lettuces, doobie-doo, we'll just go past that. But yeah, even the barbecue area is looking tidy. I did all the strimming around the edges. Doesn't that look better? I tell you what, so I'm up here this morning and I've just been having a look at the mulberry tree, and I've been a bit worried about the mulberry tree because do you remember last year, so like the previous 2 years, goodness me, did I pick a lot of mulberries, like bags and bags and bags of them every day for about 6 weeks, or at least a month. And then last year we got practically nothing, and it was for 2 reasons. Firstly, it got quite big and the pigeons discovered it, so the pigeons were just eating the mulberries like there was no tomorrow, which was a real shame. But the other thing was that it started producing male flowers, and I was really worried about that because I didn't know anything about the male female mulberry situation. But let me show you what I mean by that. So these ones in here, let me just find one. They're all falling off now actually, but this is the male flower. And when I first looked it up, because I didn't know what they were, at first I thought they were just, the fruit had gone really weird. This was like last year when it started producing them. But then I realised that they were just male flowers. And when I kind of looked up what that meant for the tree, I was a bit alarmed because there was sort of 3 ways that it seemed like it could play out. And people had all different ideas about what way it was going to go. And the first option was that the whole tree was going to revert to being a male tree as opposed to female, which would mean no fruit and we'd just get these like catkin type flowers. The second option was that some branches would go male and some would stay female, so you'd have both. But looks like it's third option because we've got male and female on the same branches, which was the best possible outcome, because if you get some male branches and some female branches, you only get fruit on half the tree, But we seem to have a mix across the whole tree and loads of fruit coming. If anybody's thinking about growing a mulberry, I highly recommend it. They're beautiful, beautiful trees. They're really gnarly, but they're quite quick growing and they produce fruit quite early on, like you don't have to wait too long for it. These wonderful big leaves. And there's 3 different types. So there is the white mulberry, the red mulberry and the black mulberry. And the white and the red are very similar and they tend to kind of crossbreed. The black mulberry is really quite separate. So with the white mulberries and the red mulberries, the fruit is really quite solid. It's not fantastic tasting. You tend to get them dried rather than eating them fresh. And when you pick them, they kind of stay solid. Whereas the black mulberries have an unbelievable flavour. They're absolutely delicious. But when you pick them, they're very, very soft and they sort of squash and they run down your hand. It looks a bit like blood. Hello, out of time. It's Jessie from The Ending, but I just wanted to say there's a really lovely story associated with that, the fact that the berries bleed all over your hands, which was a couple of lovers whose families didn't get on. Classic story. I think they were Babylonians. Anyway, it was Paramus and Thisbe. When I was a kid, I was convinced her name was Frisbee, but yeah, Thisbe. And anyway, the story goes that they had arranged to meet secretly under a mulberry tree. And Thisbe, she arrives on time, obviously, gets there, but there's a lion nearby who's eating a deer or a carcass of something that it's killed recently. And she's a bit uncomfortable being there on her own with a lion nearby. So she nips into a cave to hide while the lion goes away until the boyfriend arrives. Anyway, she dropped her scarf on her way into the cave. Pyramus shows up, he's late, strolls along, quite happy, sees the scarf on the ground, sees the lion with blood all over its face, leaps to entirely the wrong conclusion, massively overreacts, whips out his sword and stabs himself in the chest. So Thisbe, who's hiding in the cave behind, hears a bit of a commotion, comes out, boyfriend's bleeding to death, and she thinks, oh, well, life's not worth living now he's gone, so she takes his sword and kills herself. And then it's the blood of their love that seeps into the soil underneath the mulberry tree, which then comes up and then comes out of the fruit, which is what makes the fruit bleed. I mean, terribly Romeo and Juliet, but also like completely avoidable. Completely avoidable. I mean, if you'd just shown up on time, none of this would have happened. Anyway, sorry, back to the mulberry tree. So if you're thinking of a fruit tree, like really, they are top in my opinion. And the other lovely thing about them is that because of this, the way their fruit squashes so much when you pick it, you just can't buy them in the shops. It's one of those things that you either get them off the tree or you never taste them. And that would be very sad because they're wonderful. But going back to the male-female fruit thing, which is what I was supposed to be talking about, I'm pretty optimistic. Now that we've got both on there, you know, it doesn't seem to have affected it as badly as I thought. And now it's so much smaller, we should be able to cover it from the pigeons. So fingers crossed for mulberries this year. But something else that we didn't get any of last year and we're hoping to this year, these are the field beans. So we grew them as a green manure, but we really want to try the beans as something to eat. So they're type of broad bean, they're just really small, and apparently they make fantastic dried beans. And here we do have a couple of pods that are formed, which is quite exciting. Although they're absolutely covered in black fly, we left them last year and they became an incredible nursery ground for ladybirds. Like, they were absolutely swamped. So that's what we were hoping for again this year, and it does seem to work. There's absolutely masses on there, and it did the rest of the allotment tons of good because they all kind of spread out from here. Although they've got some very poor looking rust on them this year. We're just going to nip the pods off and see what we can do with them, see what they taste like, I think. Although these ones are looking terrible, our actual broad beans are looking pretty good. Not too much black fly. There's a bit on the tip of that one, but the rest of them, they look all right, and they look really healthy. I mean, these are about head height. They're pretty tall. These are Aguadulce Claudia, and that one, now that one, you see, that feels really solid. That one, although it's the same size, is a bit squishy. That one's not got much going on in it. I might pick one and see. Classic one-handed whilst filming struggle. Yep, it's going to be the same for trying to open the thing. But oh, look at those. They're absolutely perfect. Oh, the joy, the joy. A nugget of purest green, for sure. Okay, they look great. I'm going to give in and get something proper to cut them with and take a few home to Mum. Okay, that's me. I'm off. I'll see you for partying tomorrow. Good morning. Happy Friday. It is the Friday of the Platinum Jubilee long 4-day bank holiday weekend. And I am diligently putting out this bunting that I've been provided. The girls down the end of the street have put in a huge amount of effort to get our road closed off and organise this party that we're having this afternoon. And although I'm not a massive flag waver in general, they've given everybody the bunting to put on the front of their house to make it all look terribly jolly, which is lovely. I'm just going to try not to fall out this window because it's a bit dodgy. But yeah, so Platinum Jubilee weekend is marking Queen Elizabeth being on the throne for 70 years, quite a long time. And as well as bunting, we're going to cart a load of tables and chairs outside and hang around in the street for the afternoon. So cross your fingers for some sunshine, chaps. That's what we want, bit of sunshine. I've just run outside, so there's a flyover today and I completely forgot about it. Can you see the planes over there? I was going to go up to the top of the hill, but I probably wouldn't have seen anything because they're coming right over the top of the house. I really hope you can see that because they're really, really low. Look at that. Oh, God, they're loud. There's some more at that end. And look, these chaps are coming over in the shape of a 70. Terribly clever. We had a great view from down here. I'm really surprised. I thought we wouldn't see anything. Okay, tables and chairs are all out. We've got bunting, tablecloths, the whole works. Let's go.
They've done a fantastic job. All of you for bringing everything out and being here today. I think it's been a hit, especially with the weather.
Give me a second so I can fill it out.
Okay. Well, I don't feel that fresh, I'm going to tell you, but we've got small boy's got to go to the vet this morning, so I've got to man up and get on the bus. Anyway, we were so lucky with the weather yesterday. Like today it's raining, it's windy, it's grey, and yesterday was beautiful, so fantastic. So I haven't been looking forward to this, chaps. My incredible Patreon supporters know that last week I had to take Annie to the vet and he's been really, really unwell, and last week he was given 1 week to show improvement with some slightly experimental medication, and we're going back for the week checkup, and I've just got absolutely everything crossed that he's shown improvement. It's yeah, because it could be curtains, and I am not okay with that. He was a kitten on a French farm that they were just going to get rid of, discard, because they didn't want any more cats. When I moved back to England, he came back with me, and that was 14 years ago. And he is my small boy. Small boy. Hello, Papa. Oh, I'm so happy he's put on weight, and the wheezing in his chest has died down a lot, and it looks like it's working. So we've got another week. We have another week. Right, let's get him home and head up to the allotment. Have an egg, a lovely egg. We're a bit low on legs at the moment. A bit low on legs. We're not low on legs. We're a bit low on eggs at the moment because obviously Flo has been broody for ages, but now Rube's gone broody. Most annoying. I mean, you can try and force them out of it, but as long as they're getting food and water, they do just eventually kind of sort themselves out. Like, and grump, so much grump. Peking bantams are known for going broody. Like they do tend to do it. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, lovely egg. What are we doing today then? Well, first thing is it's seriously windy up here. I was lying in bed this morning, like just really, because we've still got the flags out the front of the house. I need to take them down actually. We've still got the flags out the front of the house, so I'm just watching the whole lot like this and at my window. It's very, very relaxing sound. Plastic flags beating the front of the house. Wonderful. But I'm in an incredibly good mood after like Annie having a good visit to the vet. The last one was so upsetting. Yeah, so the fact that we've got another appointment in another week, and we'll see how much he's improved from then. But luckily, I mean, I'm just so happy that she said, yep, okay, he's put on weight, and we'll give him another week and see what happens in a week. So brilliant. And now on to allotmenting. Woo, the wind. It's really blustery. It's even windy in the shed. But I've got a huge list of things to do today, and one of them is get Johanna's tomatoes into the polytunnel. Woohoo! I'm really excited about it. I've got to do a bit of sorting in there because it's a bit weedy. I've got to take out the roots of the chard. I normally leave roots and stuff in there, but the chard roots are like boom. So I'm going to take them out and get some more compost in there, get a bit of manure in there. Normally I don't use manure in the polytunnel, but I think it needs a bit of help, so I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to put a load of vermiculite in there to try and loosen up the soil, because one of the problems that we had last year was that the soil was really compacting, and then it was, you know, not absorbing the water well enough. So vermiculite I'm going to try, and we've got so much of it, I'm just going to like whack a bag in there and do that. Yeah, so I better get on with it. Girlies are out. Unhappy, two of them, but they're out, and Mills is just having a lovely time on her own. Oh, they're coming running, little sweethearts. Hey, girlies! I know! Little loves. Right, action stations. I'm also going to try and get some sweet corn in. Right. Stop chatting. And just do it. Just do it. Gorgeous girl, gorgeous girl, gorgeous girl, gorgeous girl, gorgeous girl, gorgeous girl, They don't love the wind. I mean, can you imagine being covered in feathers and in a windy day? Not much fun. Actually, it's not even much fun with long hair. Right, this is what we're working with. We've got a bit of clover in there that I need to take out, and these are the remnants of the chard. Take that out. Parsley I think is going to stay, and I really need to do something about the quality of this soil. It's absolutely bone dry in here, bone dry, and it's been pretty hot, so I reset this yesterday and it's got up to 44. First thing I've got to look for though is the vermiculite, and it's not in there. Oh, that's grow more. I might put some of that in as well. I'm sure it's in a bin bag though, but it's not under there. And that's spare corn for the girlies. I know there's masses of it around here somewhere, like a bin bag full. I wonder what I could have done with that. There's only so many places you can hide a bin bag of vermiculite. Oh, hold on a minute. Maybe I stuck it in the netting shed. I mean, it's not netting. But that sounds, yeah, maybe I'll put it in there. And there's the bin bag. Beautiful. I'm probably going to chuck all of this in there actually, because the vermiculite absorbs the water better than the compost does once it's dried out. So I'm hoping that's just going to give it a bit of help. And I will start the clearance. That's a bit better. It's really warm in here, can you tell? Yeah, that's better. So I decided not to put the horse manure in there, although I'm fairly confident about using it outside in the beds, just in case there is something in there. I don't know if I'm able to face another tomato tragedy for the year. Once a year is about all I can handle, so I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off on that and just even this all out, and then give it oh, excuse me, and then give it a really good soak in here, and then I'm hoping that the vermiculite's going to take up the water, and then it'll hold it a bit moister, a bit damper in here, because at the moment it's absolutely, because it's all caught in my throat, it's absolutely bone dry, because we haven't had anything growing in here the last couple of weeks or whatever, and then all the stuff that was going in here before, I wasn't watering it because it wasn't a crop, they were just flowering, so it hasn't been watered in here for ages, and I need to do that before I plant the tomatoes in, because at the moment it's a little bit barren. Just heading up to turn the hose on, but look at this, blackberry season is nearly upon us. It's just loads of bud all across this top section. Exciting times. Right, water on, let's soak that compost. get in here and hide out the wind. While that is having a proper soak, let's have a look at the tomatoes that are moving in there. We have got, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17, not bad. Look at these poor chaps. It's because I wasn't here yesterday because of the party, and they've got very, very dry, and they're in the smallest of the pots. So these are the tomatoes that I've sown. Absolutely nothing up yet. I mean, there's things up, but they're not tomatoes. That's some sort of cucurbit, and not sure what that is, but it's also not a tomato. Okay, witness the struggle, right? I've had that hose just beating down on this for about 10 minutes. And if I just turn this over, you'll see it's bone dry. Completely and utterly dry underneath. This is going to take me a time. Like, I was just going to have to keep turning it, wetting it, turning it, wetting it. I have been told that if you either use warm water or washing up liquid in the water, it can saturate the soil a lot better. But I don't really want to put a load of washing up liquid in here at the moment. Also because I'm not mixing it before putting it. I'd have to just put the washing up liquid in. And I don't have any warm water. So I'm going to go with the cold water and turning method. But it's really worth me taking the time to do this now while we've got nothing growing in here. This is the first opportunity I've had since we put the compost in, always had stuff in here. And once you've let it dry out, oh, it's so difficult to get it to reabsorb the water. So yeah, got a task on my hands. Well, that's taken more than an hour, like an hour and 15 minutes of hosing and turning the soil over and hosing and turning the soil over. But I think I finally got it to absorb some of it. So it's now like when you dig it over, it's not bone dry underneath. So progress has been made. And now I'm going to go and get the tomatoes out of the no, they're not. I'm in the polytunnel, not the tomatoes. I'm going to get the tomatoes out of the greenhouse, bring them in, have a bit of a play with placements, see what we're doing. Okay, so as you know, this is not the original group of tomatoes that I was planning to have in here, but we do have quite a selection, and I don't know what they are. I mean, I've picked them up or been given them, and I've been told at the time what they are, but I can't actually remember. So I'm just going to go through them all now and we'll see what we got. Okay, we have got a plain red tomato one, Alicante. That's a bog standard. This poor chap, got to get them watered. Cocktail Crush, and then we've got 2 sun golds, which is we've actually got 3 sun golds. There's 2 in there, but this was one that I was going to be buying anyway. So poor loves, let me get them in some water. So 2 sun golds, that's excellent. I've got 2 mystery ones from George. I'm sure he'll know what they are, but I can't remember, and there's no label. So we've got now, I think that is Consuela de Palma. That one's from Johanna. We've got Pink Ox Heart. That's this chap. At the back here we have Bloody Butcher, Marmande. That's another one of the De Palmas. We've got Tigerella, Indigo Blueberry. That one doesn't have a label. Okay, quite a selection, and hopefully some of the ones that I've sown will come up and we'll get them too. Yeah, not bad. There are tomatoes. There will be tomatoes. I'm going to hang on, let me just put you on the stand. Better? Yeah. So I'm going to space them out like I've got loads more tomatoes heading my way. So I could just space these out evenly across the whole backside of the allotment, the backside of the polytunnel, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pretend that the ones that I've sown are going to come up and be great. So they're going to be quite tightly packed. I don't know if you remember last year I packed loads in here and they grew absolutely fine. They were really close. I mean, they were about this close together, the tomatoes, last year, and they didn't have a problem, because as long as you are quite careful about taking off the side shoots and trimming them as they come up, you know, keeping the leaves away from the tomatoes, you can really pack them in quite tight. And I think that's what I'm going to do again this year. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to have to take one of those parsleys out though. It's like, the parsley is like right in the wrong spot, of course. Okay, I'm quite excited about this, and I've been rustling them around and I could smell the tomatoes, which was something for a brief time there I thought I wasn't going to be smelling this year. Okay, are you ready to go in the ground, chaps? Are you excited? I'm excited. I bet you're really excited. I know we've gone through this before, chaps, but for anybody who wasn't watching last year and the year before, the stringing method is you have your string suspended from above. In my case, I've got wires running across the top of the polytunnel, and you dig a hole. Your string is excessively long, and you pull it in the bottom of the hole that you're putting the tomato in. Then you plant your tomato on top of it with the string as taut as you can get it. And then you don't tie it in for a little while, because what you're waiting to happen is that the roots of the tomato grow around that string and then grow out into the surrounding compost and anchor the whole thing. And then once it's really got itself anchored, you can then tie your tomato to the string and it's kind of self-supporting. It's a particularly handy technique if you've got shallow soil like here. I wouldn't be able to use bamboo canes in this polytunnel because the compost is only about a foot deep and it's just not enough support for the bamboo canes. So this method works really, really well for that. You've got to be a little bit careful when you first start tying them in, because if the string pulls out from the roots, if it's not quite tight enough, obviously then it's a real pain. You can't really get the string back underneath. But like always with tomatoes, just plant really deep and try and get that string as taut as possible. If you run the pot down the side of the string as you're lowering the plant in there, that does tend to help keep it taut. And then when they do start growing, you'll find that sometimes the string does slacken off a little bit, but if you use a stick, and I'll show you later in the season, but if you use a little stick, you can kind of winch it up so that it stays really nice and taut. I find it's the most effective method by far for me. But I know lots of people have things to say about it. Also, I use natural string, which I know some people prefer to use the plastic string because it's got much less chance of breaking later down or sort of rotting through later down in the year. But to be honest, I've only ever had that happen to me once. And then I just tied the two bits together with another bit of string. So it really wasn't the end of the world. And all the other general tomato planting advice applies, you know, plant them deep. Deeper the better, really. I mean, I'm limited here because obviously, like I say, the soil's quite shallow. You can get away with planting them really quite close together as long as you feed and water really consistently and don't let the soil dry out like I have in here. But other than that, I mean, tomatoes are go. Oh, that's a good look, isn't it? I'm so, like, covered in mud and just kept getting the hose wrong, so I've sprayed myself in the face repeatedly, hence like glamour. It's pure glamour. Yeah, tomatoes in. We have some tomatoes. Oh god, what time is it? It's like 6 o'clock. I've got to edit tomorrow and I've got loads to do. I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll go home, upload this footage, and then I'll come back in the morning and plant the sweet corn. I think that's what I might do because I've got to cook dinner and it's a casserole and casserole needs time. So I really need to get on it. Okay, I think I'm going to call it a day here. I'm going to tidy up because I made a terrible, terrible mess. Oh, so much mud. Yeah, I made a terrible mess and then I will be back here tomorrow morning. I think the weather's meant to be all right tomorrow morning. What are we doing, Lil? What are we doing? I know. We got tomatoes, Lil. We got some tomatoes in. How gorgeous is this poppy that's just like fluttering around outside the polytunnel? Such a great colour, this one. It's so bright. Even though we've got like no sun, it's really grey. It's just glowing. And inside, I don't know if I can open it up. It's like really like lavender purple inside. Absolutely gorgeous. I'll tell you what else is absolutely gorgeous. Having tomatoes in the polytunnel. Ah, this is a sight of pure joy. I'm just thrilled. So happy. Those chaps are recovering. They're starting to perk up a bit. Poor loves. Before I go, I'm just going to show you the peas because I'm excited. They look great. So this was the first lot. Remember in the guttering? Look at that. Peas galore. Some of them are really starting to fatten up. You see that one's less 2D than the rest of them. Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. They look great, don't they, girlie? Don't they? Fab peas. Yeah. Fab peas. Tell you what's also great though, look at this. This is that Cavallonero that I bought as plug plants from Adrian Hall's a couple of weeks back. Planted it out, looked great. Blooming pigeons. The radishes I planted between them are looking all right, but the pigeons have scoffed them completely. So I'm going to nick the netting off the chard that's gone to seed at the top end and plonk it on here and see if I can just give them a chance to recover because they were looking absolutely brilliant. It's always the way, isn't it? You're like watching something looking fantastic and then you come back the next day and it's gone. It's either slugs or pigeons or squirrels. Hey, Lil, are you enjoying your Mike's Melons box? Lily and a Mike's Melons. Oh, sweetheart. What else do we need to check on before I go, Lil? Should we have a look at the beans? No action on the bean front just yet, but I did plant them quite deep, so I would expect them to take a little bit of time even just to get through to the surface, so I'm not particularly worried about that. Hopefully they will be soon. I've got to head off, darling. I have. Can you convince Rubes and Flo that they need to get a grip, please, Mills? Tell them they need to sort themselves out. Actually, had a question the other day when I was with Tony C. Smith on his live about asparagus beetle, and I've got one in here. I've just seen him. Where is he? They're beautiful. You see him, he's got like a red, actually he looks quite dark here. This one's a bit brown, but he's got a really bright red, come on, focus. Bright red head and like black and white spots. And these are the eggs. Can you see those little black bits that are sticking out just there? They're the eggs. I don't really do anything about them other than brush the eggs off and then like flick the beetles away. They don't do that much harm. But yeah, that's them. I also need to take some compost home with me. Whew. Right, I think we're set to go, chaps. What are you doing, Mum?
I'm tangling the flag so they can be used for the coronation.
Oh, very nice. Perhaps.
And they've got themselves in a terrible twist going round and round and round in the wind.
Cheers, chaps. We've got tomatoes in the polytunnel. Anakin's okay. Got a glass of wine. Sunshine due next week. Mum's heard from the hospital, she's just waiting for a date for a new hip. So pretty much it's all go. Cheers. Oh, there's one more thing to show you. I'm leaping around all over the place in this video. Sorry about that. It's probably a bit difficult to follow. But the broadbeans that I picked, I ended up having a bit of a rummage in one of the potato pots to see if I could get any potatoes out. You know, when they're just like near the surface. So I took a couple of them home and we ended up having this, which was spectacular. So the only thing on this plate that wasn't ours was the butter and the Parma ham that's wrapped around the asparagus. So the asparagus is just plain bit of Parma ham wrapped around the top of it and stuck on the griddle. Just red Duke of York potatoes, loads of butter and broad beans. Couldn't be any better. And I'm hoping for a lot more of that kind of lunch heading my way shortly. Soon as we get the sunshine, I just know everything's just going to go because we've had so much rain now. Like the ground is going to have really, really good water retention levels, and it's just, yeah, bit of sunshine and we'll be off. Right, a couple of things I need to mention before I head off. Firstly, my melons are up, and I've been told by a number of people about the Transatlantic melon challenge, so I'm putting myself in for that. I will hashtag at the bottom. I'll link to the video that was like the one for 2022 if anybody else is growing melons and doesn't know about it. We're doing that. And also I want to say thanks to Tony for having me on his Potty Mouth Gardening Club live last week. I'll put a link to that underneath as well if you're interested. But most importantly, I want to say thank you for my spectacular official certificate. I'll do a closing shot on that, I think. Cheers, chaps. I'll see you next week.